my fabulous friends. I hope you're doing well. Well, continuing with predictions, I thought let's do an overall prediction for 2026 for the House of Windsor. And the reading I'm going to do is one of the layouts I have in my Designing Your 2026 tarot book. Members get a significant discount. If you aren't a member, you can still buy it. I'll put another link down below. It's 54 pages. There's all kinds of information you'll carry throughout the whole year. And you can use it year after year. It's not like you have to buy one this year and buy one next year. Once you have it, and you can use it to design your 2026, so everything goes your way. All right. So what I'm going to do is what I call the house foundation layout. All right. So we only use major arcanas, and I've got the Inner Journey Tarot here by Heather Hopes. And I just thought Inner Journey because we are going into a journey when you're doing a prediction, right? It's not what it is right now. It's what's the journey, how you're going to design this, and what's going to happen. What's the projection for the House of Windsor? So the first thing we have to do is draw one card for their overall energy for 2026. So House of Windsor, and you can do this for yourself. You can follow along, grab your major arcanas. And like I said, this is just one of the layouts I provide in the book. All right, design your best year 2026. House of Windsor, what's their main energy of the year? And of course, in the book, I go quite deep into it, what planet that is, what your timing might be, general ideas. All right, here we go. Creativity, the Empress. The Empress card. Are we going to see a new Empress in 2026? And if you've been following me for a long time, you know that's Catherine. When she becomes queen, because when she becomes queen, she becomes the king's mother, right? All right, so where will the House of Windsor live in 2026? Let's build them a house. Let's build them a house. The foundation. What's the foundation of the House of Windsor in 2026? What's the foundation? What's the foundation? Surrender, the Hanged Man. That's interesting. Look at things from a different point of view and look at this creativity. Maybe they have to be very creative in 2026. Surrender, to surrender to what is. That's their foundation. Hold the line, right? Surrender is not a movement card. This isn't a time to change things around. This isn't a time to do too much, and just surrender to what is. Surrender, quit fighting things. Hush, hush. Okay, the front door. The front door is how the year announces itself. So we have the foundation, we have the yearly energy. So the whole year is going to be very creative. We might see a new Empress, and the foundation is surrender. This is not a year to make big changes. So the front door is what happens first in the year. How does the year announce itself? You know, if we think back in 2024, the year announced itself with Catherine having emergency surgery, the king having surgery at the same time, yet his was planned, and then the announcements of Cancer. What's the front door? What is the first thing we're going to see about the monarchy in 2026? Changing cycles. Well, isn't that interesting? Wheel of Fortune, changing cycles, to surrender to what needs to change. So, in other words, don't fight it. That's one of the things I said with the Hanged Man. Don't fight it. Look at it from a different point of view. So, changing cycles. So, we're going to see a lot of changing cycles. Not necessarily change the monarchy, like, oh, we're jumping from William to George, anything like that. There will be changing cycles. Okay. The living room, what others will see. What others will see. So you've opened the door. We see that everything has to be looked at from a different point of view. I think also the hanged man, the surrender is surrender to tradition, surrender to what's going to be. Don't fight it, because there is change coming. There is change coming. All right, so the living room. So we've opened up the front door and we're stepped right into the living room. What do we see? What does 2026 want to show us? What do we see? This is where the royals live, and what others will see of them. The living room, right? The living room, you think about it, the living room's always clean in case somebody stops by. You don't dare take them into the back bedroom, right? Where the chaos is happening. Ooh, this one wants to come out. Intuition, the High Priestess. Ooh, secrets. Secrets are we are going to see. This is Neptune, Jupiter, and the moon. They're all very changeable. Neptune dissolves things. Jupiter expands things, and the moon, intuition, High Priestess. So we may see some secrets, or more secrets are going to be. I just realized I didn't check to see if these are in, and of course they aren't. I think that either something to do with this change is going to create more questions, or some secrets are going to be exposed in that living room. We open the door and secrets are exposed. Okay, so now we go to the private chamber, right? The living room. Now, if you're in the UK, that's the lounge. I know you call that the lounge. That's where you entertain company, right? We call it the living room in North America. Sometimes can be called the family room if you have a family room and a living room. But most times it's called the living room or the front room. The front room too. We used to call it the front room. Now the private chambers. This is where you keep your secrets. What are we going to discover about their private chambers? What grows quietly? What grows quietly in the background for the House of Windsor? Empowerment. Well, would you look at that? That's the Chariot. That is also, the Chariot is William, also Camilla, but empowerment. Interesting. Look we have a compass here and a compass here. Perhaps maybe both our Cancerians will be on the move next year. Think about that. So quietly growing in the background is empowerment. Well, is that William slowly taking over duties, just as Charles did for his mother, as his mother was becoming quite ill and unable to fulfill some of her duties. Look at all the cancellations in her last year, which was totally unlike the Queen. And so is this empowerment? Are we starting to see quietly in the background William taking over? All right. So that's the private chambers. The workroom, where skill, money, and mastery are shaped. The workroom, right? So we're looking at the House of Windsor. We're looking at what they show the public, what's quietly growing in the background, in the private chambers, which would be your bedroom, if you have a spa type bathroom, what's going on back there. But now we're going to look at the workroom, or maybe your kitchen, right? The busy part where perhaps you you make money, or your garage if you make money. But this is the workroom part of your house, where you make money, um, where fortunes are. Oh, the Fool, beginnings. Are we going to see the House of Windsor move to somebody's forever home? The Fool, new beginnings. Interesting, this is a fish. And keys to the kingdom. Keys to the kingdom. Under the Wheel of Fortune and the Empress. And the last is the Roof. We're going to see the royal family, new ways to make money, new ways, mastery, skill. We're going to see, this is the Fool, new beginnings, innocent new beginnings. The Roof. The Roof. What protects the year from collapse? What protects the year from collapse? So we start with the foundation, then we do a couple of rooms in the house, and now the roof. The roof that protects it all. The roof that protects it all. The Magician, manifestation. On top of the intuition. This is going to be, I'm going to say it, I'm going to call it a very magical year. I think, I don't see one bad card in any of this. I think this manifestation, this is also spin doctor. This is also media. I think it, and also I'm getting like they need to take control of the media spin. Whether they take it away from Meghan, or they preempt her, or they get the narrative out first, like how Charles did. And there are some articles that are clapping back at that, and I'll get to that to the next reading. So I'm thinking this manifestation with this intuition is secret things going on behind the spin doctoring, keeping taking charge of the narrative rather than always being back on the heels. I think that might be the beginnings, the new, fresh outlook. And also, this is also intuition. The Fool is also using your intuition. It's the white sun in the corner. That's your intuition. So these are two cards using your intuition. I actually think that William, just because of his age, he's much more in tune to social media and media than his father is. Like, let's be honest, his father doesn't even have a phone. Whereas the Whales, they have advisors for their social media. They have a proper social media manager. They have their ear to the ground on that kind of thing. And that's what I'm thinking right here. Ear to the ground. I think if we have to, one of the things I encourage you to do is name your house. And of course, the reading goes much deeper into this. You ask questions of each card or whatever. But I just thought it'd be interesting to do the House of Windsor. And then you name your house. So it's easy, quick reference, right? So you could call your house House of the Star. Let's say the star's in the middle, or House of Expansion. I'm going to call this the House of Fate and Destiny. This is the House of Fate and Destiny. And just because these last two cards are manifestation, intuition, we have another card with intuition. And so I'm being guided by your intuition. What's the underlying here? Revelation, the Tower card. Interesting. This is the Empress, and there's only one on the Tower card. And to me, that reminds me of Catherine. So is Catherine going to, we're going to shockingly see her become queen quite quickly. She's going to land on her feet, but something is here. I wonder if this surrender is Charles has to just surrender. And then things start changing. Anyways, I thought that was fun. Thank you very much for watching. Please take good care. See you online. Bye for now.